Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Paul Mash Show. We got another episode for you, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, and you're always going to get the latest interviews whenever they become available. And check out the comment section here on YouTube and let us know what you think. And we're on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/Paul Mash TV, and you can like the page, inbox us, comment everything you see there. We'd love to hear from you there as well. And send us an email at paulmashtv, all one word, at gmail.com. And that's for bands and solo artists that want to be on my other show, Paul Mash TV. But if you're a fan as well, we'd love to hear from you as well. And don't forget, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central on Roku channel Smile World TV, one of my episodes will be on there. And we're going to recap all this at the closing credits at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. From Janesville, Wisconsin, we have Jack Bullard, who is a Jack Nicholson tribute, and it was awesome talking to him, and his wife C.J. Morgan, who is a Dolly Parton tribute. She joins the show later on, and I have an interview with both of those. And I think you're really going to like that interview, so stick around after this commercial break from Click Jam, and we'll be right back.
We got history, got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me, thinking about what could.
All right, everybody, it's tribute time or interview time again, and with us we do have a tribute. Actually, we have Jack Bullard. He's a Jack Nicholson tribute, as you can see, and he's from Janesville, Wisconsin. And we're glad to have you here today, Jack. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to be here, Paul. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Well, getting along. Trying to stay warm.
Okay. Well, as I just mentioned, you obviously do look a lot like Jack. Did people start telling you that years ago, and then you decide to go with it, or does it go deeper than that? Maybe you could tell us in your own words.
Well, yeah. Actually, this all started in 1977.
Hmm.
I was on a trip from Phoenix, Arizona to Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped into a diner to have lunch. And long story short, the waitress came out and dumped my lunch in my lap while she was screaming, "You're him, you're him." And of course, I had no idea who him was. So that's where it started. And then it just seemed to escalate a bit from there to where, it happened every couple of weeks, and then it happened every week, and then every few days. And nowadays, 44 years later or whatever, it's every day.
Well, obviously you do a good job with it, and I don't know how long you plan to do it, but hopefully for a long time, I guess.
Well, that's the funny thing about impersonators and tribute artists. As long as their character that they represent is still relative, they can do it forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's still Elvis impersonators out there. How long has that been?
Yeah. But obviously, Jack Nicholson is a true, a very legend. If you think so. So I think legends will last for a long time too. I think so.
Yes, absolutely.
So
yeah, the icons, the Hollywood icons, they'll be around forever.
Yeah, exactly. Did you look up to any other celebrities or musicians or anything like that when you grew up? Maybe you could share some of those with us.
Oh, not really. In that manner of speaking, when I was a kid, I was a nut over what they called all-star wrestling back then, which today would be WWE. But yeah, I remember sitting in my living room and getting quite upset that the bad guy was beating on the good guy and the referee wasn't watching. He was off doing something else. So I was quite taken in by all that when I was 10 years old.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about how we can find you. I mean, I know you have an official web address. Maybe they can find you on Facebook. Just let us know some of the social media.
Sure. Well, my website is www.jacknicholsonimpersonator.com. And Facebook, you can find me at Jack Bullard. That's Bullard.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, everybody go out there. Maybe you can email him and talk to him. I'm sure he would love to email you back, and check out some of his videos and pictures. And we're gonna play one of your commercials, I guess. But I
Okay.
understand. But before we do that, I understand you're married to a woman named C.J. Morgan, and she's a
I am.
Dolly
My
Parton Tribute.
my beautiful wife CJ is right here. There she is.
Well, there you are.
And
Hey, CJ. Well, how are you doing today, CJ?
I'm doing good. I've been mopping.
Okay.
I've been mopping and doing the dishes and vacuuming in my high heels.
Oh, okay. Well, we had hoped that maybe she could have performed Dolly, because she does a Dolly tribute, but I guess she doesn't have any videos or anything prepared for that. But hopefully one day we'll get a Dolly. I've always wanted to get a Dolly on our show, but I guess this will be as close as we can get, I guess. So,
I've been taking it easy during the pandemic. I don't have any recent videos or anything like that, but Jack and I get hired a lot to do meet and greets, take pictures with people, things like that. Of course, that's not happening right now either, is it?
And CJ and I also have a motivational speaking tour that we do. It's kind of loosely based on pretty much the same thing as this interview. We have been asked so many questions by so many people throughout the years, and people are truly curious about this line of work. So we address a lot of those questions in our speaking tour.
We get asked all kinds of questions about this rather unusual career choice. And how did we get into it? And how did we meet? Have you ever met your person that you impersonate? What's some more questions?
Oh, geez, can I take your picture in the bathroom? Yeah, I've been followed into restrooms like 3 times. People wanting to know if they could take my picture.
yeah, so it seems like I heard that from either you
Yeah.
or CJ not long ago. I thought that was interesting. They would even follow you in the bathroom. I mean,
Well,
people need their
interesting.
privacy, you know. I mean,
Interesting is one way of phrasing it.
yeah.
Inappropriate's another.
Well, as far as that goes, CJ, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started being a Dolly? I mean, I know we don't have any video of you, but maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Oh, I don't remember.
No. Well, I think it started with a parade in
Oh, that's
Gatlinburg,
right.
Tennessee.
My
Oh,
dad is from Tennessee, and I have deep roots in East Tennessee. And I have lived down there a lot. And one of my friends, well, a couple of my friends, had started a little tour bus company. It was Mountain Memory Tours, and they were taking people around into the Smoky Mountains and stuff. And their slogan was from Davy Crockett to Dolly Parton. Now, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, has got a midnight parade on the 4th of July. It starts at 11:59 on July 3rd, and that way they can say that they have the very first 4th of July parade in the nation. And my friends were going to have their bus in that parade, and they wanted me to ride on it as Dolly and wave to people.
mm-hmm.
And my first reaction was, nobody's going to believe I'm Dolly.
Mm.
So, well, nobody has to believe it. It's just the idea. You know, you just put you on a big blonde wig and do the best you can. And I did. And they had a little seat for me up in front. And I was riding along, waving at people. And people started chanting, Dolly, Dolly, Dolly. And as I was riding along, the press got right into the door of the bus, and they were taking shots of me, and everybody was going to get pictures and stuff like that. And of course, my friends were in the back of the bus snickering and laughing and everything. And people really thought it was Dolly. And the next day we heard through the grapevine that Dolly had been in the parade, but we all knew it was me. And my excuse then, I wasn't really taking this very seriously. And my excuse was, well, it was nighttime and those people were sitting off on the curb. They couldn't get very close. So no, you know, they probably did think maybe, you know, it was close to Dolly. And then my son was bartending at a place in Knoxville, Tennessee. And there was a yearly fundraiser that went on in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's called Night of $1,000. And he was working at the place where that was going to be held. And I was working a day job at the time. And he called me at work and said, Mom, I think you'd really like this thing that they're doing tonight. It's all about Dolly Parton. And of course, he knew that I love Dolly Parton music, and all things Dolly Parton. He said, I think you ought to come down. Well, I was tired, and my first thought was just to refuse and say thank you, but no thank you. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. How many times does your adult son invite you down to his bar? And so I decided to go down there, and on my way home from work, I went down there and I was leaning up against the wall, listening to singing Dolly songs and things like that. And he was back at the bar, and while I was leaning up against the wall there, about 3 people came by and asked if I was going to be in the Dolly Parton lookalike contest. Mm-hmm. And the first 2 I said no, and then the third one I said, when is it? And they said it was at midnight. I went and found the guy in charge, and I said, is there a Dolly Parton lookalike contest going on here? He said, yeah, it's at midnight. You should be in it. So I ran home. I didn't live very far. I ran home, and I've always been a musician. I started out in life as a keyboard player. I'm a songwriter. I ran home and got some glamorous clothes that I'd had from playing out in bands and stuff. And I had extra hair. I was already blonde, and I had extra hair. I did my best to look like Dolly. I went back there and got in line. I was the last one. And it was one of those contests where they hold the main guy holds his hand up above the head, and everybody claps for their favorite. And all these other little gals had done their best to try and be Dolly. And they all got a little bit of polite applause. And then they got to me, and I was almost embarrassed because the applause just went on. It came in waves and waves and waves. And it went on for, I would say, 5 to 7 minutes. You could feel the floor. You could feel the floor shaking from the applause and the foot stomping, whatever people were doing. I mean, I was almost, it was very obvious that I had won that. But my true, the time, the time when I really started taking it seriously was when I actually met Dolly. And a friend of mine had arranged for us to go to Dollywood, which was no big deal. We did that often. And the friend of mine was a VIP at the time for a large bus company. And in that area, in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, all of the businesses court the bus companies. They bring in lots of tourists. And of course, they want the tourists to come to their establishment. And Dollywood is no different. So, my friend had these VIP tickets, and we got to see Dolly in person. And that was the first time that I had ever seen her perform in person, which would have been enough for me. But then I think it was the 25th anniversary of Dollywood, and Dolly said to the audience, and we've got something special for everybody, because it's the 25th anniversary. And if you've got a little sticker in these notebooks that they had given out to everybody, you get to have lunch with Dolly. And I was thinking, oh, we couldn't possibly be that lucky. But my friend is sitting there going through her little notebook, and there's a sticker, and we got to have lunch with Dolly. Now, that's kind of misleading because I don't think Dolly eats. I think maybe she eats bird food. She is so tiny. But during the lunch, there was a kind of like a flatbed trailer, and it had steps on either side, and you would go up one side and go off the other, but in the middle you would stop and take a picture with Dolly. And of course, I was like a stalker. I was running around looking at whatever Dolly was doing. She was meeting with the staff at this place, and they all lined up like the Queen in England, and everybody lines up, and the Queen goes over, shakes her hand and everything, or whatever. And that was what was happening. Of course, I was watching every move Dolly made. I'm thinking, how people think I can look like that or act like that? I can't do that. And then it was Arthur, and I was one of the last ones to go up the steps, and I was scared to meet her. This was like meeting the Queen of England to me. I went up the steps, and Dolly had been talking to some people that were going off on one side. And she was saying goodbye to them very graciously. And then she turned to the other side and stuck out her hand to the person that was over here, which was me. And before she said anything, she stuck out her hand and she said, "Long wait, this is," and reached and pulled me in, you know, and I had trouble talking. I couldn't remember my words.
He was just a goober.
I was a goober. You know, I was starstruck. I'm not normally starstruck. I've met a lot of, especially country music stars, and this is the first time that I had been starstruck like that.
Or no, I got a cell phone. There, right.
I'm lucky I didn't wet my pants. I was so excited.
Okay, well, that was a good story, CJ. I'm sure you looked up to all the legends in country music too, right? I mean, obviously Kenny was a legend.
Yeah, I had a cousin that was in the country music field for a long time during the days of classic country music, back when Willie Nelson had short hair. And I got to meet Willie Nelson. I got to meet a lot of people through her. She was a singer and a songwriter, and her name is Lois Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And she's passed now, but we still keep her website up, Lois Johnson Music. She had a couple of songs out. One was called "Loving You Will Never Grow Old," and another one was called "Come On In and Let Me Love You." And Paul, I know these are before your time, but I do like classic country music. It was very pure.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you tell everybody exactly how we can get a hold of you? I mean, I know you have a website, maybe your social media. Let us know.
Yeah, we both look through Top 10 Productions, and my website is www.almostdolly.com.
Okay.
That has contact information and things like that. We're both not doing a whole lot right now, but the entertainment business, of course, as a whole, has been down since the pandemic. And, you know, a lot of musicians and a lot of actors and actresses and a lot of tribute artists? A lot of tribute artists like ourselves are not working a lot, but that's okay. You know, it'll come back. Things will get better.
Okay. Well, everybody go to those addresses. I'm sure that CJ would love to hear from you. And maybe you got videos on there they can watch and see you as Dolly in action. And we're almost out of time, but we're going to watch a video by Jack here. It's some kind of acceptance speech from back in 2014. And it looks like a pretty good. Why don't you tell us about that, Jack?
This was an awards thing that they did for hospitals all across the United States every year. And it was I'm having to think back, 2014 was a long time ago. But they would grade the hospitals on their performance. Mm-hmm. And this particular hospital that hired me for this had won one of the top awards for their grade that year. So that's what this is about.
Oh, okay.
What?
Tell the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, well, we're going to watch that in just a minute, but CJ and Jack, we thank you for coming on the show. We'd love to have you back sometime if you ever want to come back. We'd love to have you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having us.
It was a pleasure.
No problem. And here's that clip I was just telling you about with Jack at the Acceptance Speech Award here, and we'll be right back with that in just a moment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here tonight to present the hospital's Health Grades Award. Now, I know a little thing or two about both of these subjects. Number one, I have received several awards in my life, and for them I have truly been grateful. Number two, my last movie, The Bucket List, I not only played the owner of the hospital, but a patient as well. And you might remember back in 1974, I was kind of an unruly young man in a different kind of hospital in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Of course, that one didn't turn out quite as well as what I'd hoped it would. And without any further ado, I would like to present the award for one of Health Grade America's 50 Best Hospitals, and that is presented to, well, this should come as no surprise, ladies and gentlemen, Penrose St. Francis Health Services.
This is the 7th win for Penrose St. Francis Health Services, the only hospital in Colorado to receive this award.
Oh my goodness! Thank you, Jack.